Here we are, the beginning of the end. The first episode of the final chapter in the Netflix exclusive Transformers War for Cybertron Trilogy. This is the review for Kingdom Episode 1. Picking up from where we left off at the end of Earthrise, the Ark and the Nemesis crashed to the Earth. The Autobots and Decepticons tried to organize and put themselves back together after their rough landing. Notably, Teletran 1 seems to be mumbling to himself as he tries to process the massive amount of data that he received at the end of Earthrise. Which, if you watched my review of Episode 6, you'll know is information from the future. But the show wastes no time in introducing us to both the Maximals and Predacons. And I will say, despite the leak of Beast Megatron's voice sounding so awful that I want to claw my own audio receptors out, or maybe because of it, the rest of the Beast cast doesn't sound nearly as terrible. I especially like Black Arachnia's voice actress. When I first heard her, I just melted. But I guess that should be no surprise to any of my regular viewers by now. I seem to be a sucker for spider ladies, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So, as we saw in the trailer, they do the whole trope of the good guys fighting each other upon first meeting. And I must say, Rhinox is huge! Wow, he is such a big boy. It's almost like the reverse of the Autobots and Maximals in the Beast Wars cartoon, where the Maximals were much smaller than their ancestors. Somehow, Optimus Primal mistakes Optimus Prime for Nemesis Prime? Are gorillas colorblind? Clearly he's not Nemesis, because he's not, you know.
This is for everyone you've killed! Eat lead, murderer!
Hold your fire! This man isn't black!
What?
Our two Megatrons meet, and this is where we find that leaked audio of Beast Megatron being a simp for his G1 namesake, which I won't subject you to again. Apparently the Golden Disc is not from the Voyager spacecraft, at least not that we know of, but is actually G1 Megatron's journal? Aw man, this totally spoils the Transformers theory video that I've been working on about the original G1 Megatron and Beast Megatron. But my theory is actually the reverse, where G1 Megatron, after the episode Microbots, discovered Beast Megatron's journal, which is why he's talking to himself all the time in the show. He's actually recording a captain's log. But anyways, I've got to get this video done quick. I can go over that theory at a future date. One thing I love about this episode is how Starscream and Black Arachnia team up, much like they did in the Beast Wars episode Possession. And apparently, she's the only one who's heard of Starscream, much like in that episode. That's a nice callback. It's pretty cute how they do the thing where Tigatron calls out Optimus, and both Prime and Primal respond. It's also cute how Airazor and Tigatron are in communication with each other, obviously hinting at their romance together. Hopefully we see a little bit of that in this series? But speaking of Airazor, she unfortunately is captured by the bad guys, much like Nyx in the recent Beast Wars comic. And that is the end of this first episode of Kingdom. I wish I had more time to point out all the little references in this episode, like Tigatron mentioning their darkest hour, and RC name-dropping Sharkticons, or giving my more detailed thoughts on each of the Beasties' new voices. But unlike the Maximals and Predacons, I do not have a time machine, and I have to get this video out ASAP. I'll just say that I really liked this first episode. Dare I say, loved it. This has renewed my hope for this series, and I cannot wait to watch the rest of this final chapter. Well, let me know what you thought of this first episode of Kingdom. Remember to like, subscribe, and do all that other fun stuff, and I'll see you back here tomorrow for my review of the second episode of this final chapter in the War for Cybertron Trilogy. See you then!